Alrighty, let's review for your first test for Algebra 2. Please watch this video with the sound on all the way to the very end. I totally understand if you don't want to hear my voice. I don't like to hear my voice either, but the verbal description of what is happening on the screen is important. You are not required to copy any of this down. I am not going to collect it, but it's not a bad idea to write it down because writing it is going to help your brain soak in the information a little bit better. That is your call depending on how much time you have and how much you want to study to prepare. So I'm going to go through this with each skill and then how many problems you're going to see on your test of that skill, and then an example problem or problems that demonstrate what would be covered under that skill to give you an idea of what you could expect to see. So I do have my notes here. So if you see me looking to the side, it's because I'm looking at my notes. So first skill is union and intersection of sets. Now this is that new thing that I started with this year. It's not a major skill for Algebra 2, so there's only one problem on it. And so you would be given something like this. So like the set 2, 3, 4, 5, and the set 1, 2, 3, and you could be asked for either the union or the intersection. You will not be asked for both. So pay attention. If you see the U, that would be the union. That is the marriage of the two sets. And a good way to do that is to just write down everything in the first set, so 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go look at the second set and see, is there something in the second set that I haven't gotten already? And we can see there that we don't have the 1, but we do have the 2 and the 3. If you want to go ahead and put that in order, okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's like up to you. Now, you might also see the intersection. The intersection is that symbol there. It's the one that doesn't look like a U. And the intersection is the overlap. It's the items that are in both of the sets. And so we have in this one, the 2 and the 3 are in both sets. So you'll see one or the other. And yeah. So just like pay attention to like, am I looking at union or am I looking at intersection? That took me less than 2 minutes to do, and that was with all the explanation, and I did both. So you should be good to go on that. Skill 2 is determine if a relation is a function. This is 3 problems. You're going to be shown either a map or a graph and simply answer yes or no. So you need to know what you're looking for on the map or the graph, like the plotted points. And so you look at it, and so this should not be long. So you could see something like this, all right, where you've got, say, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and you're going to have your arrows pointing like so, and you would answer to this no. There'll be a line underneath it. So you would answer no, this is not a function, and you're not going to have to explain why it's not a function, but so that we're reviewing, that is not a function because the 2 maps to both a 1 and it maps to a 2. So you've got that like double mapping. Remember, nobody can leave our class period and go to 2 other class periods. Like you can't split yourself and go. Okay, then, but this would be okay. So let me just kind of clarify. So if we got rid of like that and we drew in something like that, oh no, that's not okay. Well, I guess, whoop. Well, that'll show me. Okay, so it would be okay though for the 2 and the 3 to go to the same number. Like that is a function. That's like 2 students leaving class and going to the same class. Now, from a graph, okay, this is a function. Okay, that is a function because you don't have any points where the x value maps to more than one y value. So you've got like, maybe if we put tick marks on here, you'd have like -1 and then -2 and then +1, +2, but all the points would be going somewhere different. If you saw the points stacked on top of each other, now that is not a function. Okay, so I just like what I did in the red there, that made it not a function because whatever this x coordinate is, it goes to two different y coordinates. So when you're looking at those, you're looking to see, do I have some points that are stacked on top of each other? If you do, it is not a function, right? And you will see 3 of those. Just answering yes or no, need to know what to look for. Skill 3, state the domain and range. Now, there's one problem for this. As we get further in Algebra 2, the domain and range becomes a more interesting question. But this is going to be a set of ordered pairs. So you might have like 0, 1, and then 2, 4, and then -3, 4, okay? And so you got that, and it will be set up for you. You'll see domain, and you'll see like the open brackets, and then you're going to see range, and then the open brackets, and you just need to know what you're going to put in that set. Key piece of information you need to know here is that domain is your x coordinates and range is your y coordinates. So my domain would be the 0, the 2, and the -3, and I would just write 0, 2, -3 like so. And my range would be 1, 4, and 4, but you don't duplicate the 4s, so you would just say 1 and 4. Okay, you would not do the duplication on the 4s. So that took me like less than a minute to do, and that again was with the explanation. Yours will be about the same level of difficulty, just like one problem. Like you just need to know domain is the x's, range is the y's. That's the piece of information we're looking for. All right. Skill 4 is to be able to graph a line. I am not going to restrict how you can graph a line. You do need to make sure that I can see at least 2 points clearly. Two, because it takes 2 points to determine a line. So make sure that I can see 2 points. In fact, put a dot on the point. Every year I'll get somebody that will graph them, and they'll graph it so that if I look closely, I can see what the points are. But it makes it so much easier for me to grade it if you put a dot over the point, like, hey, Miss Taylor, look at these points. It just draws my attention to it. So you might see something like this. You might see f of x equals -2x plus 3, okay? So that could be the one that you have to graph. And so there's 2 ways you can do this, okay? I'll show you both ways. So one way you can do it is by using the shortcut, okay? And the shortcut would be this. You would recognize that that is your y-intercept. So you would put a dot on the 3, okay? And again, show me the points that you're using. So if you're using the y-intercept is 0, 3, you're gonna put the dot there. And then the slope in this case is -2. So that's -2 over 1. So you're gonna count down 2 because it is negative and right 1 because it is positive, starting at your y-intercept. So we're going to start here and count down 1, 2, and right 1. And so my second dot is going to go right there. And then you're going to connect them and indicate that it does go on for infinity by putting arrows at the end. Now, the other way you could do that same problem is you could pick values for x. So you could set up like a table for x and y, or f, x, and f of x. And let's say you pick the 0.2 and the 0.3, okay? And then you don't need to show me your scratch work for this. I do need to see the table, but you don't necessarily have to show me the scratch work. Your scratch work, I'm just going to come over here, would look something like this. You'd have -2 times 2 plus 3, so that's -4 plus 3 and -1, and so we'd have the -1, and then -2 times 3 plus 3, so that's -6 plus 3, or -3, and then you would clearly show that over here. So the 0.2, -1 would be right there. If I can get it to do it, it really is going to give me a hard time, isn't it? Come on, I don't have time for this in my life. It is late. I still have a bunch of projects to grade. Okay, right there. And then 3, -3, so that would be like here. and then you would connect them, and it is the same line. I know I did that really messy, but both of those lines are the same line. You can graph it either way. What you are going to be required to show me are two clearly marked points. If you are using these points, there should be a table to go with them. Okay, if you're using these points, you don't need a table. So if you're using the y-intercept and the slope, you don't need a table because you can get it straight from the numbers here. But these points do not come directly from that function. So those points, you would have to show me the table to show what you intended. And there will be two problems like that. So that took me less than 4 minutes, and I did it twice. So that's like doing two problems, okay? It's like doing two problems because I did the same problem twice. So there you go. All right, now there will be 3 problems that have you evaluate a function, and the directions are going to be given 3 different ways. So if you, now that you know that you're going to have 3 problems of this type, if one of the directions makes more sense to you than the others, do that one first, and then that will act as a reminder for you like to know what to do. But you might see something like this. If f of x is equal to 3x minus 4, find f of negative 7. Okay, and this is what I would expect to see. I need to see that you're plugging it in. Okay, you are not going to go straight to the answer. Now from here, depending on what the numbers are. So this one, probably you would want to see the negative 21 and then the negative 21 minus 4 to get negative 25. But if the numbers were smaller, if it was like 2 times 1 plus 3, okay, like that you could do in your head. So I'm not going to require that you show the middle step there. Yeah, I'm not going to require that you show the middle step. Other ways you might see it, you might see evaluate. So you might see the word evaluate. Evaluate f of x equals, 1/2 x plus 2 for x equals 10. And so you would do the same thing. F of 10 equals half of 10 plus 2. And again, for this one, you might want to do it out. We would have what that would be 5 plus 2 or 7. And I'm just running out of space there, but you should do that top bottom. And then the third way you might see it is this. If y equals, negative x plus 3, find y when x equals 2. And so you would have y equals negative 2 plus 3, and you would have y is equal to 1. So there are 3 problems of that type. That took me less than 3 minutes, and I was writing out the problem. You will not need to write out the problem because it will be written out for you on the test. So again, if it takes me like 2 to 3 minutes with the explanation and the writing it out, it should not take you tons longer. Next skill, find the slope. There will only be one problem that asks you to find the slope, although you will need to find the slope in some of the other problems. But there'll only be one that will only be finding the slope. So we're going to have, these are our 2 points, and I'm going to let you choose which way you want to find the slope. So you will be able to plot the points. Okay, 3, negative 5, and negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it would be up there. And you, really, not again. And you could do that by counting like rise over run. And so for this one, I am going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I went down 9, so that'll be negative 9 because I was going down. And then going across 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can leave it as a fraction. So there's your rise over run. You could also use the formula. Okay, so, and we got to pick a way to do this. So what are we going to do? Let's do negative 5 minus 4 over 3 minus negative 1. -5 minus 4 is -9. And then 3 minus -1 is another way of saying 3 plus 1 or 4. And what you notice is that you should get the same answer, -9/4, both ways. You are welcome if you finish really early to do it both ways. I'm going to provide you with a coordinate plane on your test if you want to graph it so that you don't have to freehand it. But that is up to you. You can, if you do it both ways, you get the same answer both times. Yay. It would be unlikely that you would make the same mistake in both variations. So one problem like that. Now, next skill is skill 7, and that is to write the equation of a line. And there's going to be 2 problems of 2 different difficulty levels. So one of the problems is going to give you all the necessary information. So write the equation of line with slope equals, what do I have? Slope equals -2. And I swap out the verbiage on here, but we'll say for the sake of the review. And going through for -5. And to do this, the best way to do it is with point slope form. Okay. And you're just going to straight plug it in. So slope is -2, x minus 4, and then that would be -5. As with the slope formula, be careful if your x value is negative, because you'll end up with that minus a negative, which will in turn be a positive. That one should literally take you like 30 seconds to do. You're going to plug it right into the formula. You do not have to put it in slope intercept form. Okay, you can stop right there. Now, the other problem is going to be going through 2 points. And so this is where you're going to get the other slope calculation that you need to do. So you would have to go through the slope calculation. So we'll have 6 minus 4 over 3 minus 2. So that's 2 over 1. So a slope of 2. And then once you've got that, then you can pick either of your points and plug it in. So this would be 2 times x. I'll pick the first one, x minus 3 plus 6. But you are welcome to pick either point. And again, you don't have to go further. You do not have to put it in slope intercept form. Do not have to do that. So I would stop. I mean, the more steps you do, the greater your chances are of making a mistake. And if you make a mistake somewhere, I'll have to take off for it. So you might as well just like stop. Stop and minimize like the extra stuff. So that took me about 2.5 minutes, and that included writing and copying it all out for that first one, which you will not have to do. All right, and there'll be 2 problems, similar difficulty level to that. All right, now this one is, I'm not going to do a demo on this. So it's describe an error in a calculation. So you're going to be shown a calculation, and you're going to need to look at it to find the mistake. When you do this, I want to be clear about a couple things. There is only one error. Okay, so you do not need to look to see if there are multiple things that are wrong. There is only one mistake. Do not answer that as the answer is wrong. I know it's wrong. I want you to put into words what was wrong. So for example, you could say something like the minus, like there is a minus sign where it says like x minus 3, and it should be x plus 3. Okay, so that would be a description of the error. You could say something like the slope fraction is flipped over. So somebody did run over rise instead of rise over run. Other mistakes could be there's an arithmetic mistake. So the person, like it says 3 plus 4 equals 8, and it should be 3 plus 4 equals 7. So you're welcome to tell me what it should be, but what I need is a description of what was wrong. If you only tell me what it should be, so if it's, say, a slope calculation and the answer should be 6 and the answer there is 5, and you say it's wrong because the answer should be 6. That doesn't answer the question about what the error was. It's just telling me that the answer is wrong, which we already know. Like I've already told you that the answer was wrong. So you're describing the error in the calculation, what happened. All right, and the last skill is to solve linear equations, and there will be 3 problems of this type. None of them are going to be what we would consider a very difficult level, but they are not all easy either. So you're going to be looking for that middle of the road. Here is a middle of the road problem. So I know I have it here. Looks like it started to rain outside. Okay, and so you do have to show your work, okay? And I want you to show the work top to bottom. In fact, if you try to do it left to right, it's not going to fit for the space that you have. So it does need to be top to bottom. And you don't have to do the arrows, okay? But 3x minus 12, bring down everything you're not working with. And then we're going to combine like terms. So we're going to do negative 12 plus 2, which is negative 10. And now I'm going to consolidate these. I like my x's positive, so I'm going to add 3x to both sides. That's going to give me negative 10 equals 5x plus 1. Then I'll go ahead and subtract to get negative 11 equals 5x. And then we're going to divide by 5. Sorry, that got really messy. And I get x is equal to negative 11 fifths. Now, I believe the ones on your test are going to come out nice, but but if it doesn't, you just leave it as a fraction. Okay, simplify it if you want to, but just leave it as a fraction. Now, there are 3 of them. I did 1, and it took me less than 2 minutes with the explanation. So if you multiply that by 3, we'd be looking at about 6 minutes. Now, when it comes to timing the test, I never expect you to do it as fast as me. Okay, that would be super, super weird. Typically, I'll do what like it actually takes me to do it, and I multiply that number by 10 to get what I think my students are going to be able to do. So that's it for now. This is not the end of the video. So, all right. So other test information. There are 4 versions of the test. Do not copy off of your neighbor. I say this every year, and every year someone either does not listen or does not believe me that there are 4 versions of the test. And then I catch them copying because they've got the correct answer for a problem that's not even on their test, okay? It's very, very obvious if you've done this. Don't do it, okay? I'm telling you in advance. I'm not trying to trick you. Now, for regular time students, that would be gen ed students, I think this is going to take anywhere between 25 and 40 minutes, which I'm aware is a pretty big spread in the grades, but like that is going to be the case. So I'm thinking the first people done are going to be done in about 25 minutes. Sometimes I'll get somebody who's done in like 10 minutes, okay? But I'm thinking about 25 minutes, and I think the longest students are going to be more in the ballpark of 40. If you have 50% extended time, that's going to put you between 37 and 60 minutes if you get 50% extended time. And if you have 100% extended time, you are looking at between 50 and 80 minutes to get your 100% extended time. Notice that all of those times, even for my 100% extended time, is less than a class period. All right. Only students who are using all of the 100% extended time should spill into the next class period, because we're going to aim for about 20 to 30 minutes of review before we transition to testing, which is going to bump that 80 minutes over into the next class period, but not by much. All right, only by a few minutes. So if you do have that extended time and you, because this happens a lot, okay, and I get the test back after day 1 and you haven't done anything and you're thinking, well, I'll get another whole class period to work on it. No, because the regular time is 25 to 40 minutes, at which time I have like another thing that we're going to be doing that can spill into homework if you need it. Okay. Now come with a writing utensil and handheld calculator if you want one. There is nothing on the test that requires the use of a calculator. That is on purpose, that there's nothing that requires you to have a calculator, but you are allowed to have a handheld calculator if you want one. Also be prepared to place your personal belongings against one of the walls. The quicker you guys get ready for testing, the quicker we can start, which means the quicker you can end. All right. And one more thing. Okay. So this is like for those of you that have hung with me all the way to the end. What I want you to do as evidence that you have watched this video with the sound on all the way to the end, because you'll notice I'm not going to write this on the screen. Okay. I want you to go into Teams. I want you to go to the channel that's questions and discussions. Okay. So our team and then questions and discussions. And I would like you to simply write down your favorite kind of candy. Okay, just type in what your favorite kind of candy is. Be as specific as you would like with your favorite kind of candy. Do not tell your buddy to do this. Okay, if you have stuck with the video for 26 minutes, this is for you to do. You just tell your friend, hey, make sure you watch the review video. Okay, watch the review video. You need to post your favorite kind of candy before test day. Okay, it has to be before you come in to take the test. Got it? If you post your favorite kind of candy after you take the test, okay, that does not count. All right, I want to see who's watching this video beforehand. So we got that. All right, that's all I have for you. I'll see you on test day. Do some extra review problems if you need to. Watch this video again if you need to. Take a deep breath. It's going to be fine. All right, I'll see you test day.